Zisher had plenty of time to think about life and this war in the time he spent hiding behind trees and rocks. He was contemplating the name of the human tactic that currently had him hugging the back of a boulder. Sniper. What is a snipe? Zisher knew a fair amount of English but couldn't answer this any better than anyone he had asked. Humans were good at hiding no matter where they are, but this planet covered in jungles and mountains was the worst-case scenario. The common belief about why humans are the way they are is being a predator but not even close to the apex until they develop tools. They are clever. Zisher could not deny that. In the right terrain, when a sniper takes their shot, you keep moving because they won't risk firing again, not wanting to give away their position. Today, however, Zisher found himself in a deep canyon, surrounded by nothing but brush and boulders for cover, with a human sniper positioned on either side. The best hiding spots were rigged with the usual traps, and Zisher knew the path ahead would hold even more. It had turned into a waiting game. He called for reinforcements, and they prepared to wait. Typically, the snipers would linger for a while before slipping away down a pre-planned escape route. 2 wounded and no dead was the best this could have ended for his unit. Zisher waited patiently for the reply to his request for air cover. He had no hope of it killing the humans, but at least he could guide it in to set off the traps ahead. The message popped up on his visor: 3 infantry units had been dispatched but no air cover. If anyone took the time to ask a lowly sergeant his opinion, he would suggest letting the humans have this planet. Stubbornness was the only reason why not. Unfortunately, nothing is more stubborn than a human defending their home. Even if you burn that home down, they will die fighting to keep you from having the ashes. What is a snipe? Zisher let his curiosity get the best of him. Hey, human! Why are you called a sniper? Zisher didn't know what he was expecting, but human laughter was definitely not it. Why laugh? I want to know what it means. What is snipe? More laughter. Zisher felt like standing up and shaking his armored claw at the human, challenging them to single combat. Humans have no honor, they would just shoot him, a small sound being all he heard before dying. He was about to taunt the humans when the high, thin voice echoed down the canyon walls. Depends who you ask. There is an ancient practical joke where you get dumb people to hunt around in the brush for the mythical snipe. The other theory is snipes were a small, fast bird and you had to be a good shot to hit one. I personally like the first one because this is kind of a joke. You came out here looking for the mythical sniper and now I'm up here eating lunch while you try to hump that rock. Zisher tried to pinpoint the human, but it was useless the way their voice was echoing down the rock walls. He didn't understand every word but was sure he understood enough. He was contemplating whether he should let it go or if he should respond. He could see the humor in this situation. Before he could decide, the human spoke again. Since we are talking, why don't you guys fuck off and find your own planet? This was too much. Zisher breathed deep to smooth out the shaking rage before responding. Because every planet has a fucking human on it, claim it's theirs even when not using. Well, sorry, but we were here first, and we are using it. For what? You do nothing? We do whatever we want with it. We found it, it's ours. I would love to chat more, but your friends are nearly here. Zisher heard the thuds of the humans' grenades landing around them and pressed himself even smaller against the rock. When the explosion stopped, he watched 5 of the squares on his visor display turn red. 5 dead and 3 wounded now. He felt the same flash of guilt he always did. If he let himself care, he would go insane. He didn't even learn their small names anymore, and had long abandoned keeping count of the dead in his command. He had one goal: get out of this canyon alive, and hope his commanders were in a good mood when he reported the losses without a single shot fired at the enemy. The next time he talked to a human, he was going to ask them if they even remember how this war started. Zisher lay in his new bunk, trying to block out the relentless music blaring from every device with a speaker. The humans had hacked the communication network and were doing their best to drive them all insane with non-stop, deafening music. It wasn't an entirely new tactic. Usually, they'd set up massive speakers outside a base and blast the same song on repeat all night long. No one was eager to venture out into the darkness to fight the humans or risk walking into a trap, so they would just hunker down and endure it. But this was different. Cutting power to the comms network would also cut power to the perimeter security systems. He could just imagine the humans celebrating when they discovered this engineering flaw. Resigning himself to a sleepless night, Zisher got up and grabbed his gear and walked out to the observation tower facing the side of the base that was most approachable. If the humans were going to use the lack of comms as a diversion to attack the base, he was sure it would be on this section of the bulwarks. His mood lightened when he saw his old friend enjoying a bowl of stew sitting down behind the wall in the tower. "Joris, happy to see the humans haven't sent you home in a box yet." "Aye, Zisher. It's not for lack of trying, hard to tell what's going to get me first, bad luck or our new commander's lack of intelligence." "When did you get here?" "A few hours before dark. Tried getting settled in, but..." Zisher waved his arms broadly indicating the noise. "I kind of like this song, not on an endless loop, but it's the best so far." Zisher thought about it for a minute and decided he did like the primal rhythmic beat of the drums. The vocals were practically a scream, so he wasn't catching many of the words. He had gone to officer school with Joris and knew his English was much better than his own. "What's it about? I can't understand enough of the words." "The singer is questioning if the gods exist and challenging them to prove they do." Joris sat down the stew and picked up the small screen he had been watching. He zoomed in and panned the camera around. Zisher sat down and leaned in to see what he was looking at. The camera wasn't in the base, it appeared to be some distance out in front of them, focused on a pack with Joris's name tag on it hanging in a tree. This had his curiosity piqued. Then he saw it. "Joris, stop. Right there." Zisher stabbed a stubby manipulator at the screen. Joris zoomed in again, and they both could see the human face hidden among the boulders. Joris sighed. "I don't have the shot from here." "Joris, what are you doing?" "Sniping." "Well, trying to. I have something you will want to see, but you have to keep it between us. This new commander will lock me in shackles if he sees it." Joris pulled aside the blanket next to him, revealing a human rifle with a large optic. He could see where part of the stock had been cut away so Joris could get his eye in line with the optic. He let out a slow whistle as he looked it over. It was an ancient design but looked newly made. You had to work a lever each time to load it. The barrel had an integral suppressor that would make it almost silent and hide the muzzle flash perfectly even at night. The thought of being on the wrong side of that death machine made Zisher shiver. "Figures that the human weapon you capture would be from just short of their Stone Age. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is, honestly, a beautiful piece of craftsmanship and is incredibly accurate. The EM setting on the optic can detect a human heartbeat at half a click. It can see one of us at 3. How did you get it?" "The humans wouldn't leave that behind. Human was going to drop grenades on us out of a big tree. We figure it was a faulty fuse because it went off as soon as she triggered it. This was hanging on a branch." Joris picked the screen up again. The human hadn't moved. Zisher cringed a little as the song started over. "When we were on patrol earlier, we stopped there and I hung the bag up while I rested, and then we faked a diversion. I pretended to forget the bag. Joris, sometimes it scares me a little how much you think like a human." Joris nudged Zisher in the side, playfully admonishing him for the joke. They watched the human for quite some time. It unnerved Zisher how still humans could sit. He wondered if staying motionless for that long was painful for them. A more pressing issue started to push its way into the forefront of his thoughts. When he reported in, he had met this new commander and was not impressed but hadn't interacted with him enough to put a manipulator on. Why? Joris slapped the top of his leg and set down the screen. "The human knows the bag is bait and is trying to use my bait as his bait. He's going to wait until we go to check on it. Joris, something bothers me about this commander here. You said he was new and not bright? He's a pompous preener who got his rank because of his family name. He has never fought humans but thinks he is superior to the rest of us because of status, so won't listen to our advice. Hey, you remember that human war movie they showed us in training? The one where the human commander is stupid and arrogant so one of his subordinates throws a grenade in his bed? Yes, and I don't like where this is going. Well, if Commander Turad tries to send my unit in the jungle at night again, he is going to find out how much like a human I can think. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. He is one of those that believe all the propaganda about how below us humans are and blames the failure to secure this planet on our troops. His stupidy's kill count is over 100 in the month he's been here. Zisher let it go, and they sat quietly for a while. Joris picked up the screen again and saw the human was gone. He scanned around and both of them looked for anything out of place. Zisher sat back against the wall looking away from the screen. Could just be a shift in the moonlight, and he is still right where he was. Joris clicked in agreement. The song started again. Joris gave a sigh and then did something Zisher couldn't believe. He stuck his head up above the top of the wall and started yelling at the human in English. Hey guy, what is group that performs this song? I like it, want to find more of their songs in the database. Joris ducked back down, and they both slid a short way from where they had been sitting. Zisher was about to ask Joris if he had lost all sanity when they heard a response that was much closer to them than the human they had been watching. They're called the Plague Mongers, they're my favorite band. Chaos erupted on their side of the bulwarks as troops scrambled to get to their positions and turn on the spotlights. Zisher and Joris sat back calmly waiting for the clamor to stop. Zisher felt much more at ease. If the humans were going to attack, they would not have alerted them like that. Zisher watched as a youngling emerged from the commander's office and began checking all the positions along the bulwarks. His dress uniform indicated he was part of the staff. When the youngling reached their position, his expression shifted, and he walked into the tower, standing tall and upright. In a swift move, Zisher yanked the young fool to the ground just as a bullet struck the log post right where the youngling's head had been. Both Zisher and Joris quickly scooted further away when the stench of the youngling's waste sacks emptying into his pants hit them. Joris leaned over and gave the shaken newcomer a firm shake. So what is so important it was worth getting your head blown off to come to tell me? The commander. He wants both of you to assemble your units and capture the humans and make them stop the music. Just then the song changed. It was the same performers but a different song. Joris shook his head with a bemused expression. Zisher was torn between getting auditory plugs or a grenade for the commander.